Hello everyone and welcome to Roma Theory as Tammy's uncertainties are starting to appear now that his recovery is almost complete. We're still a long way to go to see him on the pitch, but now that he's back running, now that he's back playing with the ball, now that Lukaku and Belotti are in incredible form, there are a lot of questions that Tammy is probably asking himself, but the ownership is also asking themselves about a potential sale. What happens to Tammy next? And yeah, in this video, we're gonna discuss this. We're gonna discuss how Tammy's a big topic, relatively close to Lukaku. Tammy's a big topic because we all know that Tammy this summer broke his ACL in the last game of the season, and it kind of halted the entire transfer window. What happens next is a very big question. Does Tammy have chances in staying? Because as of now, chances of seeing Tammy stay are very, very slim. I mean, look, I think it's only fair to start speaking about the recovery and when we'll see him back playing, and then moving on chronologically, we'll speak about what happens in the summer. If he leaves or not, because his recovery is proceeding. His recovery is proceeding well. A few weeks ago, he got back actually running with a ball, which is revolutionary for a player who breaks and tears an ACL. From the day you break an ACL to the day a player gets back running with a ball, it feels like an eternity for everybody. But Tammy's recovery is happening very silently. And very behind the scenes, because yeah, it feels like his recovery went by this week, and it's very important to acknowledge that when Tammy will be back available, I think it's impossible to see Tammy play and start games before February, and I also think that it will be impossible to see Tammy obviously start games from the very first minute or play whole games immediately. I'm not a doctor here, but I know this because Roma has a terrible past when it comes to ACLs, and every single player has followed this routine. When a player is back from breaking his ACL, you're back in stages. First of all, you need to have friendly games. Second of all, you need to start playing some games with the youth and with the academy. Then back in the team, you can have 15 minutes at the end of one game, 20 minutes at the end of another game, 30 minutes at the end of the third game, maybe then start playing an entire half. It's gradual, it can't be immediate, and this is exactly why these questions have to be asked, because from the time he will be able to start a football game, and when I mean that, I mean with Roma's first team or with Roma's youth team, I don't care, but from the time he'll be able to start a football game, to the time he will actually, be ready to give an impact to our games is gonna be a long time, and he won't have a lot of time to prove himself this season. He's been very unlucky because he played a very, very, very great first season, was the best player in our team when we won that Conference League. Then he had a very, very bad second season, and then the third season he missed. He's not going to miss the entire season, but we're close enough. So what happens next is a very big stage. I mean, look, it's a risk, but with Roma everything's a risk, because we've seen two sides of Tammy. We've seen the first side in 2022, where literally every ball Tammy touched, Tammy scored. And we saw a young striker who had immense potentials. But then we've also seen another half of Tammy, which was very, very poor. Number one, he got bullied by the majority of the defenders he faced. He missed a lot of big chances, which a striker can't miss. He missed a lot of sitters. He missed a lot of, normal passes to his teammates. We have seen two very different characters of Tammy, if we want to call them characters. And when I call this a risk is because, let's say we sell him this summer, we are selling him knowing that Tammy can be an immense talent in the future generation of strikers, but also being aware that if we base our sale of Tammy on his second season, then Tammy's not a great striker. So we will never know the definite answer of, have I made a mistake or not? I mean, yeah, obviously we'll end up knowing, because wherever he goes next, we'll see how he plays. This injury doesn't help, but we're at that stage where we've seen him for 2 seasons. One was great, one was terrible. Now what do I do? Another big thing is that, Tammy's competition this season is going to be massive. Already last season, Belotti basically started a few games and Tammy sat on the bench. And we've seen last season many times where Jose preferred Belotti over Tammy, and Belotti had even a worse season than Tammy if we base it on goals and assists which he made. This season we are seeing a very different Belotti. So if this Belotti benched Tammy last season, then this currently Belotti who's playing now could make Tammy never see the pitch again. And then obviously you've got one of the best strikers in Europe, in my opinion, one of the best strikers in this league, a game changer in this league, who's scoring goals galore, Romelu Lukaku. When will we ever see Lukaku get benched by Tammy Abraham? We will never see this. And we'll never see this because Tammy will be back in such a crucial stage of the season, because he'll be back at around the middle to end part, which is the most important one, because it's where the most important Europa League games come. It's where the most important Serie A game comes to actually understand if we can get top 4. So, yeah, you get it. You get my point. Long story short, I don't see Tammy starting many games because of the competition he has, because of the fitness he will be in. And yeah, I love Tammy, and if you've been sticking around for quite a long while, you will know this. Tammy's my idol. I absolutely love him. I love him as a person and the way the charisma and the enthusiasm which he brings into this team. Tammy is one of the most important players which made me see Roma lift the first trophy in my lifetime. European trophy. Tammy's a legend of this club. But obviously, at time of speaking, I struggle to see Tammy stay. Now, let's not forget that a few weeks after he got injured and tore his ACL after the Spezia game, there were basically behind the scenes rumours about our transfer window saying that Roma had agreed a move with Aston Villa at around 40 million euros to bring Tammy to Villa for an exchange of 40 million euros, which collapsed because of his injury. He's a player which I think despite his injury, he will catch the attention of teams. And when I see teams, I still think that after such an injury, which is not an easy injury to recover from, Premier League teams will be onto him. Because Premier League teams, unlike Serie A teams, and this is once again me contrasting a world of football which looks so distant from the system of football which we live in, English teams believe in their players. English teams gamble on English players, and that's how it needs to work. And Tammy is an important talent in the history of the English game, in the next generation of the English game. So even despite this injury, I see Premier League teams make bids for him and be, onto him. I don't expect Man City and Arsenal to be onto him, but I expect the Villas, I expect the Brentfords, I expect these Evertons, even Tottenham. I mean, Tottenham don't have a striker at time of speaking. And we all know the money circulation in the Premier League. So I think that we could cash in, and once again, we've seen it this summer, how difficult it is for us to spend money if we don't sell the money, if we don't make money. Tammy would cash in quite a lot. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to sell him. This could help the Lukaku deal. Because if Lukaku keeps on like this, Roma will definitely want to try and trigger that release clause which Chelsea established at around 37 million last night. 37 million is an amount of money which, first of all, Roma can only spend if they sell a big player, aka Tammy Abraham, and not even that, because we've seen it with Ibanez this summer. Not necessarily selling is directly linked to buying because of the FFP. And second of all, if we even want to try and spend that amount of money, we need Champions League football. So Lukaku staying at Roma is 100% dependent upon Champions League football. Because if this team doesn't get Champions League football, first of all, we won't be able to spend as that big amounts of money. And second of all, Lukaku himself doesn't want to stay because Lukaku himself knows that he's a Champions League player. Not everybody's Dybala, who turns down Premier League offers to play in the Champions League to stay at Roma. Lukaku will leave if we don't get Champions League. If Lukaku leaves, then I see Roma keep Tammy. But at the same time, I will challenge this and say, if Lukaku doesn't stay and we keep Tammy, then where do we cash in? FFP is going to be around next summer too. So I think what's going to happen is we're going to sell Tammy this summer, regardless of whether we get Champions League football or not, regardless of whether Lukaku stays or not. I think Tammy's going to be used as the treasure to cash in. And then obviously if Lukaku doesn't stay, we'd need to find another striker. And then obviously in the background of everything, you have Belotti, who's playing very well, performing really well. Under all the media talks, speaking about how important Lukaku is to this team, how gigantic Lukaku is just scores so many goals. It's not easy for a player like Belotti to withstand this and keep the goals coming. I was the first one to say, oh well, Lukaku arrived, Belotti's going to suffer from this because he's barely going to get game time and he's going to get buried by this Lukaku signing. Long story short, it looks like Belotti is even more motivated now that Lukaku came. And we are finally seeing, maybe not 100%, but we're getting closer and seeing what Belotti did at Torino, and he was a very underrated striker. So yeah, I think there's a lot of questions, which not just the owners, but Tammy is probably asking himself as well. Tammy's probably asking himself the question, do I want to stay? Because now that the fans are used to such a good striker under the name of Lukaku, in a hypothetical scenario where Lukaku isn't here anymore and Tammy is back starting as our main striker, we've already seen that Tammy's a person who suffers a lot of pressure. Well, imagine this scenario. The fans are so used to a top physical, buried goal scorer striker like Lukaku that they won't be happy with a player like Tammy because they are used to what he did last year. And that's going to feel on him. He's going to feel the consequences of this. Again, I don't know what happens. I think at the end of the day, we are going to sell him at the end of in this summer window. But we'll see what happens. I mean, who knows? We don't know what the future holds. Maybe Tammy comes motivated as ever, and even despite him being out for 6 months, he's gonna bag the goals. I don't know. A lot of things need to be asked, but it's definitely gonna be one of those topics which maybe is not heated now, but will definitely be heated, if not this summer, even maybe in a few months as we approach the January window. But we'll see what happens. Anyways, I'm going to catch you tomorrow. If you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're getting closer to 10,000 subscribers. So yeah, if you could subscribe, it would help a lot. And also if you've already subscribed, I want you to bring your friends and families over here and make them part of this community. As I just said, thumbs up on this video, click the bell notification button so you'll be notified every time I go live or post a video. And yeah, drop your opinions and comments on this Tammy situation. Do you keep, do you sell, taking into consideration all of these various different factors? Talk to you soon, take care, Simon out.